Hi there, I hope you're well. Today is VE Day and I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you ahead of our time together on Sunday morning. Now, those of you who know me well will know that I am a big fan of movies and I really enjoy a database online called IMDb. And it has a particular feature on it called No Small Parts, where it celebrates the work of actors who normally fulfil more of a supporting function, lesser well-known actors. And I really like this feature because in a movie, in a sense, there are no small or insignificant parts to it because each has its own importance in telling the story. Now, as I said, today is VE Day and 2020 commemorates 75 years, the 75th anniversary of VE Day. And there are many well-known and famous names from the Second World War, particularly the statesmen and leaders such as Winston Churchill and Roosevelt and Charles de Gaulle, and of course the famous generals and military leaders like Montgomery and Eisenhower. But as great as those people were, they couldn't win the war by themselves, could they? They needed soldiers, they needed sailors, they needed airmen. But of course, they also needed engineers and statisticians, code breakers, administrators, manufacturers, farmers, teachers, clergy. They needed families who were willing to take in children who had been evacuated. And it's kind of a bit like our frontline workers, whom we're so grateful for, especially at this time. And I'm sure, like me, you're out there on a Thursday night clapping for them and showing your appreciation. Those doctors and nurses and paramedics do their brilliant work, but they can only do it, they can only be effective in it through the support of technicians and IT workers, call centre operators, people like cleaners and caterers. Now, on Sunday, we are going to be remembering and paying tribute to our own family members who went through the war years. And I'm so glad that we are, because it reminds us that each person who contributed to that war effort in however small a way is not just a number hidden away in a statistic. They have a name and a story that matters. Each one was fearfully and wonderfully made by God. Jesus Christ became one of us and went to the cross for each one of them. They were destined by him to live in a certain time and a certain place for certain purposes. It's the same for us today, you know, as Christians we were chosen by God for this moment, for such a time as this, that in these challenging times that we find ourselves in, we're not here by accident. We have purposes, kingdom purposes to fulfill. And whatever those might be, no matter how big or small, whether we're the youngest child or the oldest among us, it all counts. Our lives count and make a difference. Because you see, in God's family, in his story, there are no small parts. Now, 1 Corinthians 12 describes the church as being like a human body, and we're each a part of that. And verse 22 of 1 Corinthians 12 tells us that the parts that seem weaker, smaller, less significant are actually indispensable. Now today we give thanks for those who gave their all for our freedom. I want to thank God today that we still have people with us like Captain, now Colonel, Tom, of that generation to look to as an example, who even today are such an inspiration to us. But I'm conscious that he and his peers will not be with us for much longer. may we never forget them. May we always value them, celebrate them. May we learn from their example, and in our own small way see the significance of who we are and what is in our hands to use today. In Acts 13:36, it says of David that he served God's purposes in his generation. May it be said of you and me that on our watch we did the same. So God bless you today as you celebrate VE Day in whatever way you are able to. And we really look forward to seeing you on Sunday.